Hey everyone, you are listening to the NintendoFuse Podcast. Today is June 14th, 2016. My name is Hassan. Welcome to the NintendoFuse Podcast. Today is episode number 126, entitled The E3 of Zelda, because The Legend of Zelda is essentially the main focus of E3. A couple other little things we'll talk about too, but then we're going to get into Zelda, because that's where it's at. So to discuss it all with me here today is Steve.
Hey, that's what I was thinking, and think I'm like dying again.
We have Greg.
Hey everyone.
And Barry.
Look! Listen!
As always, we're coming at you live via TalkShoe, so you can listen to us, and you can also see us as well via Google Hangouts. We do a live video stream as well. So definitely check that out. The full details are on NintendoFuse.com right now, so if you're listening via the stream and you're like, oh, wait a second, I can actually watch you guys, well, then there you go. You'll have a link on NintendoFuse.com, and that's where you also can chat, and we'll read your comments as well. You can call into the podcast live, and it's a lot of fun, so definitely check that out. So I want to give a shout-out to Mike in the chat, to Steve as well, DJ Burgess. Thank you to everybody that is there. Mike is saying there's an echo. It's fixed. Okay, never mind. We're good. All right, we're back in business. So definitely get ready, guys. We got well, we don't have too much to talk about, but we have some good stuff to talk about though. So first things first, E3. I want to kind of talk about a general sense of how we're all feeling about Nintendo at E3 so far, and for any of us that have seen the conferences, any of the other conferences, like any comparisons, things like that. So, Steve, let's start with you. Is there a general sense of what you're feeling like with Nintendo at E3 so far?
Not much more than what I've said in the past. Like it was basically what I expected. I was kind of disappointed that they didn't show much beyond Zelda, and now that it's the first day is over, I'm still kind of disappointed they didn't show much beyond Zelda. Yeah, but I am very glad that I'm not there in person. I was talking to someone the other day online, and I think they were kind of a little shocked that I was like excited that I wasn't going. I guess I'm not excited. I wasn't like head over heels that I wasn't there, but I was excited that I didn't, in my opinion, waste my money on a trip to LA to just see the same stuff that I would be able to see online, really. Because I mean, like, yeah, I would be able to got my hands on Zelda and been able to play it, but really, like, that's a lot of money just to play, you know, a 15-minute demo. And so I feel like I got a pretty good idea of what the game's like just by watching the Treehouse all day today. So, yeah. And I have not been watching anything else. I know that Xbox announced their new system and like an upgrade of the Xbox One. And I heard that Sony's kind of all but confirmed, I guess, their next iteration on the PlayStation, but they're not showing it off. That's pretty much all I know from what else is going on the other fronts. I watched the Apple one. That was pretty cool, but not necessarily E3 related.
Right. Yeah, I was playing around with iOS 10, sidetracked. But anyways, so what about you, Greg?
I shared most of those same sentiments. I really wish they would have done a digital event that they always lead off with in the first place. I was fine with them doing the Zelda stream for most of the day, but I still would have preferred to start it off with the digital event and have everything there all in one piece. I kind of like the way they've done it the last couple of years like that, so it's usually a unique sort of video that they do. Yeah, like Steve, I would have been disappointed if I attended in person, because obviously, like you said, you're just seeing the one game, and there's really not a whole lot else to say outside of you can pretty much catch everything you can just by watching the Treehouse. There's a 95% chance that would have stunk to be there.
Right. Yeah. Barry, what are your thoughts?
Well, E3 is always described as gamers' Christmas, and I agree with those sentiments. And for me personally, my favorite part of E3 is always Tuesday morning because it's Nintendo. At 12:30, I'm ready to go. Nintendo. It's what I look forward to the most. I love the other conferences. I love to see what everyone else is doing. I love the industry, but I always look forward to Tuesday. And overall, Zelda we'll get to, but overall it was very disappointing that they didn't have anything. And I understand it's a transitional year. They're trying to shelve everything for the NX and keep it secret while still say, hey, look, we at least have something for the Wii U. And I know it's kind of a bummer. I just hope they rectify it with next year because they need to. They need a show presence. They need the NX there. They need to be on stage. They really need to show people that they're serious because if you saw Microsoft, if you saw Sony's, they were very good conferences. They were game after game after game after game after game with a very few third parties actually sprinkled in there. Even Call of Duty, which usually gets like a 20-minute segment, was only a quick trailer in Sony's. And out of all the other ones, EA and Bethesda and Ubisoft, Wii U was mentioned with one game, well, two games, I guess. Skylanders and Just Dance, which NX actually got name dropped as well. That's it. Out of all those conferences, you get two games on two different systems. That's it. And that's not a presence. That's barely showing up. That's like showing up to the con with one of those hitchhiker sticks with all your stuff in a bag or in like a T-shirt tied to the end of the stick, and they didn't bring it this year. They didn't show up. They really needed to, and if they don't rectify it next year, all I could say is that it's clear Nintendo doesn't care about E3 anymore, which I think is a business mistake, especially considering even if they do a digital event. That's just like Nintendo Direct, but you have way more eyes on you. Why not at least take advantage of it? But I guess we'll see. We'll see what they decide to do in terms of it in Space World coming back or an NX show to reveal it this fall. Or who knows? Maybe they'll just pull a Sega Saturn and go, NX on stores today.
Yeah. I think it seems like they realized that whatever they had for the NX, I guess, wasn't ready in time or something, so they decided to pretty much give up E3, I think, and so, which is unfortunate, because I think they still could have put together something better, I think, than what they did, at least, or at least have more stuff playable, just getting the word out on the other titles they're still coming out. They announced, we'll talk a little bit more about that in a second, new Mario Party game for 3DS and stuff. But okay, so is that one not playable? Like, you just announced a new game, you don't want to promote it at all, like certain things like that. It just seemed weird. And I thought the flow of it was kind of weird too. They kind of start off the day and they're like, all right, new trailer, here's the reveal for the new Legend of Zelda game. Everybody's hyped, it looked great. Okay, we're gonna take a break and talk about Pokemon for an hour. And we're going to talk about how to catch a Pokemon, and I was like, no, you just killed all your momentum that you just had, all this hype, done already, what? It's just, that was just a bad decision. Then they went back to Zelda, which is cool, but.
I almost feel like they knew they didn't have enough content, and so they just instead of throwing more games on it, tomorrow they're going to talk about more games, but today it's they stretched out the same demo of Zelda even for 4 or 5 hours or something like that. I'm like, why? I saw the same stuff over and over and over again. And I was trying to live tweet, and I was trying to grasp at straws sometimes, trying to think, okay, what new stuff am I seeing, am I hearing? Nothing at times, but they definitely had plenty of space. It wasn't like there was tons of overwhelming, content for Zelda that they had to wow, we have to take everything outside of our show because there's so much Zelda content. That wasn't the case at all.
Right, right. I want to mention in the chat real quick, Richard Romero is saying, I kind of feel like the Treehouse events show a little bit too much. Might be just me, though. But Mike mentioned the Sneaky Mario Party announcement as well. Nitro Flame 250 said Pokemon Sun and Moon. We'll talk about that in a second as well. So, yeah, it just... It's a little odd to me, just the way they kind of structured it, I guess. But you know what? Let's just jump right in. Let's kind of talk about some of the other little announcements they did make, and then we'll focus on Zelda here. So, basically, one of the announcements they made was, as we mentioned, a new Mario Party game. So, Mario Party Star Rush for the Nintendo 3DS. It comes out November 4th, and they're basically going to be giving us our first look at the game tomorrow. And essentially, the little press release says it includes additions and changes to make it much more fast-paced and portable-friendly. Players no longer have to wait for their turn as everyone moves at once. Me personally, the second I heard that is the second that I said I don't want to buy this game. It frustrates me so much that Mario Party is just not the same anymore. I went to this convention in DC recently, AwesomeCon, and I bought Mario Party 4 or 5, I think, on the GameCube. And I played that with my sisters. It was so much fun. I loved it. But I can't get into the new Mario Parties. Like, I miss the classic style of it. I don't know. Are you guys excited about the new Mario Party?
Nope. I haven't been excited about a Mario Party in a long time because they've messed up that original style that I love so much. They haven't done that in a long time. And, yeah, I'm just not excited anymore.
Yeah, I'm not going to lie. Go on.
I was going to say, basically agreed. As soon as they went to the Wii, it seems as when that series took a turn for the worst.
Yeah, I'm not going to lie. I'm probably going to pick it up. Maybe not at launch, but eventually. I did like Island Tour on the 3DS. I know some people didn't. I enjoyed it, but at least there you took your own turns. Will I give it a run or two? Maybe, but we need classic Mario Party. Like, even if they just remastered Mario Party 1, 2, and 3 into, like, one game for the 3DS with all the boards and all the mini-games outside of that stupid Yoshi bike game with the Boo, and just release that, people would be happy.
I would be ecstatic. I would buy that day one. If it was just, like, even 1 through 5, like, all in one package.
They have so many mini-games.
Hand over my money right then.
Exactly, and how easy. It's already done. Why make a new game? Just re-release this at the end of the 3DS's life cycle. Nice, quick, easy. Use the assets from Island Tour, like the graphic engine. You've got it already.
Right.
Even the graphic engine from this new one, too.
Yeah. Well, for all we know, this new one is using Island Tour's graphics. We haven't seen it.
That's true. That's true. Yeah, I mean, I may end up playing it just because I think my sister was saying she might end up getting it or something, and if it has download play, then that's one nice feature at least. But still, it's just I don't know. Well, I guess we'll find out more about the game tomorrow. So they said they're going to be showing it on the Treehouse live stream as well. Yeah, Mike is saying he's more excited for the Olympic game. So that'll be interesting. Some of the other games they mentioned are some release dates for stuff. So Tokyo Mirage Sessions #FE. I forget how do you.
Sharp FE.
Sharp FE. Okay. Yeah, it's such an odd title. Tokyo Mirage Sessions Sharp FE comes out June 24th, so in 10 days. Monster Hunter Generations comes out July 15th. Paper Mario Color Splash comes out October 7th, and they said Dragon Quest VII Fragments of the Forgotten Past comes out in 2016. They didn't really name too much else, per se. It was just kind of just a select few titles. Any of those interest you all?
Nope.
Every one of them. I'm actually not being sarcastic there. I actually have all those pre-ordered.
Nice. Yeah, I think outside of Dragon Quest VII, I don't think there was a whole lot else that I was looking to see. Not huge into like Monster Hunter, Wasn't seem too interested in the Tokyo Mirage sessions and the Olympic Games.
That's weird. No mention of. I know they're going to show it tomorrow, but no release date given for Rhythm Heaven Megamix. They seem to have forgotten about this game, and it's another Wii U game. And when you've got a whopping 4 coming out this year, an extra 1 is that much better.
That is very true. Yeah, that's weird.
Yeah, it pretty much sums up my entire thoughts of E3 this year. Confused. Like, I think Nintendo's confused, and they've confused me. And, like, I know Zelda's coming out next year, and I know that I'm probably not going to get it on Wii U. I'll probably get it on NX. So everything they're showing today, yeah, I'm sure the basic idea is going to be the same, of course, because it's the same game, but it'll probably operate a little different. It's going to look a whole lot better. So I'm confused at why they're showing the lack of every. They're not talking about the right stuff. They're not showing the right stuff. I don't know. It's kind of just like they're just like writing us off.
What Nintendo's fault is doing here, Nintendo is so secretive with everything they do, and Zelda's a prime example. Look how long it took to finally have them show it. Yeah, even after last year being promised for not only release but E3 and then saying no, we're not ready yet. If you look at Microsoft this year, and you look at their conference, they ended their conference talking about Scorpio. They said it's coming out next year. It's going to be the most powerful console ever created. They had developers talking about how extreme powerful, and here it is. Just picture the most souped-up console you can have. It's coming next year. It's coming from us, and all your Xbox One games will play on it. And if you're an Xbox One owner, don't feel threatened because all future games will work on both the original Xbox, the S, and Scorpio just fine. So you're not alienating anybody. Here it is. We're talking about it over a year in advance. That's smart. Let people know it's coming. Nintendo could have easily done that with the NX, especially with the March release date. Get it out there 9 months before you get it out. Start the hype building. And instead, we know absolutely nothing about the NX officially other than it's coming out in March of next year. And you spend your entire conference, instead of saying, look at the launch titles we're building for the NX, the stuff that you don't know about, Mario and Zelda and I'm sure Metroid or whatever else they've got up their butt. We can totally nail it and say, you know what, you could take that Scorpio and shove it up your butt because next year we've got the NX. And instead they're like, here's Zelda on Wii U, it's also going to be on NX, and if you're a Nintendo fanboy, you're probably going to buy the NX, and you're probably going to get Zelda on the NX, like most of you bought Twilight Princess on the Wii instead of the GameCube.
Yep.
Right. And I think it's kind of interesting to see the sharp contrast between like Nintendo and say like Sony as an example. I watched the Sony conference, and it was like back to back to back game trailers, demos, and it was like super hype. Like I was so excited, and they all looked so good. I mean, it was awesome. And then the very last slide. What was that?
I said the pacing was great. It was never boring.
Oh, yeah.
It was no drag.
Yeah, they didn't take time. Like even if they did talk, it was just to kind of introduce the next thing and move on. Like it was quick, to the point. It was great. And then the last slide was like it listed like all the games, and then we're all like, I forget what it, like to be or I forget what it was, but like or in development. There's one with a release date, and then it said more in development. So like basically these are all like games coming a year, 2 years from now. You know, who knows what it is, which sucks. But at the same time, it was like I'm hyped though. Like Sony, PlayStation's on my mind now because those games. So and they showed us these games that are probably really early on, but it still got the hype going. It got everybody interested, and that's a sharp contrast to what Nintendo's doing.
The other thing they did with Sony is they did, in addition to some new IPs like Horizon, they also hit nail after nail after nail with existing IPs that are well known. You had God of War, you had Final Fantasy 15, you had Resident Evil 7, you had a new Insomniac game which was Spider-Man, which everyone knows Spider-Man. You have the Crash Bandicoot trilogy coming in HD. You had Skylanders. You had Battlefield. You had VR stuff. They were showing the VR stuff. The Call of Duty was thrown in there. Everything was like you knew these franchises back to back to back to back, and the few that you didn't, where new ones like Last Guardian, which has been hyped forever, and Horizon were thrown in there, where you didn't even realize they were new franchises because it just kind of flowed, and that's what was so good. The sad thing was there's not a single mention of the Vita. They pretty much have written it off, it seems, completely at this point. But it was nice to see them hammer that out. And Nintendo has the ability to do that on a grander scale. You've got God of War, great. We've got Metroid. You've got Resident Evil, that's great. We've got Eternal Darkness. Mario Kart and Mario Golf and F-Zero and Star Fox, and they can just hammer out these franchises that people love. And they don't. Even if it says in development, even if it takes 3 years to get it. If they showed a new Metroid game that looked like a combination between Super Metroid and Metroid Prime and said in development and didn't come out until 2018, who would care? The fact that they know it's coming and they see it would be hype enough. Especially would wipe the negative reaction to Federation Force off the map.
Right. Yeah, there's a lot that I think Nintendo needs to reevaluate with the way they sort of present things. So maybe with the NX things will change. Who knows? We'll have to, I guess, wait and see on that front. But a couple other announcements they did make were related to. Well, actually, I should mention just more like FYIs. So there is an eShop sale available right now until June 21st. So they're offering up to 40% off on some games and an extra 10% off on some titles if you are a My Nintendo member and you've linked your Nintendo Network ID and visited the eShop. So there's discounts on Legend of Zelda games, Pokemon games, a bunch of Virtual Console titles. So definitely take advantage of that. And then also for My Nintendo members, you can get some bonus coins by going to the E3 website, the Nintendo E3 website, and there's like hidden stuff that you can kind of click on and get bonus coins there. And they've also distributed the Legend of Zelda items as rewards for Miitomo. So all of those things are available, so definitely take advantage of that and get those while you can. But one of the other announcements they made as far as a product coming soon is we got some more Amiibo. We kind of a bunch of Amiibo have released, and we're sort of waiting for what new lines of Amiibo are coming or what else is in the works. So there's more Super Mario Amiibo on the way. There is Daisy, Waluigi, and Boo, and the Boo Amiibo glows in the dark. And they're also introducing new poses for Wario, Rosalina, Donkey Kong, and Diddy Kong. So a bunch of other Amiibo available as well. Any of those Amiibo interest you guys? Are you all still Amiibo collecting, or are you over it? Or
I don't know. Like, I originally told myself I was going to collect all of the Super Mario series because I figured it was a small enough series that I could probably, it's one that it wouldn't like break the bank, but I'd still be able to get all the pieces. But now that I'm seeing them, the hype is not as much as it once was, and so I don't know. I'll decide once I get closer in November, I guess. But I'm not like so set on it like I once was. Did you mention the new the Zelda ones, or are you holding off on that?
I did not mention those yet. But yeah, so we do have Zelda ones coming as well. So there's a Link with a bow, the archer. There's a rider, Link on horseback, and a guardian, the first amiibo with flexible parts. So all of those, I don't know if they announced a specific release date, but probably alongside the game.
2017.
2017, okay, yeah. And then the existing Wolf Link amiibo also works with the new Zelda game as well.
Yeah. So of those, like, I'll probably get at least the two new Link ones alongside the new game. So I thought that would, I'll definitely be getting those because they look really cool, and like they were showing on the Treehouse stuff too. Like they're the most like detailed amiibo that they've put out yet. So that'd be pretty cool just to have. But yeah, they're the only two that I'm really excited about coming out. The other ones, if I get them, it will be just to kind of complete the collection. I'm not so excited about having them.
Yeah, in terms of the amiibo, I don't know. They have to really kind of get some more uses for at least the Super Mario line, because it seems like they're only really compatible with like the Mario Party games. I think they have a little bit in like Paper Jam, but I didn't really find that terribly useful so far when I was playing it. So if they expanded some more like Mario games compatibility, I would consider getting those, I would think. But in terms of if that doesn't happen, I might just get like the Boo one, because that sounds pretty neat that it glows in the dark. But I don't have the entire series yet, so I don't feel compelled to have to get all of them. I do really like the Zelda ones. I'll get all 3 of those definitely with the game.
Yeah, I already have the Super Mario ones pre-ordered, all of them on Amazon, and of course I'm gonna get the Zelda ones. I'm still going for my 100% completion on Amiibo. I am still at 100%. Waiting for the Squid Sisters next month, and the new colors for the Inklings. I just got the Kirby ones on the 10th with Summer Isabelle. So since I'm still at 100%, I'm gonna keep going that route right now as long as I can.
Even with the cards?
I am actually at 85 out of 400. I'm gonna have to get some more trades to finish off the 400 set, the last set, and then everything.
Nice. Yeah, I bought so many packs of the cards that I still couldn't complete the collections for some of them, that I'm almost feeling like I might need to give up. Oh man.
See, I got cards everywhere.
Yeah, for Amiibo, I'm kind of also like, the hype is sort of dying down a little bit for me. But for me, part of the hype was the Smash Brothers line. Like, it's my favorite game series, and to have Amiibo of all of those characters was just amazing. So like that, I'm ready to complete that collection once they announce the last few, and then I'll kind of pick and choose some different Amiibo here and there probably.
I'm surprised they didn't announce anything for Bayonetta, Corrin, and Cloud yet. I mean, what the hell? Like, this would be a perfect time to announce it at E3.
Yeah, I was kind of expecting
We've already discussed. Confused.
Yeah, you're right. Very confused. Coming 2020, the final 3 Smash Amiibo.
Unless they're going to release alongside a port of Smash Brothers for NX, which was rumored or something. So maybe they're waiting until 2017 or something to like release those alongside that, or who knows. I don't know. But yeah, so that's more Amiibo on the way if you're interested in that. But that then brings us to the topic of Pokemon. So that was the other game that they kind of highlighted on Treehouse Live today. And a couple bits of new info. They spent a lot of the live stream kind of rehashing some of the basics of Pokemon, some of the, not too much new there, but we got to see a nice look at the way the game looks. And so they kind of did a bit of a visual overhaul of some of the game, which looked pretty cool. Some new Pokemon announced, Pikipek, Yungoos, and Grubbin. I feel like they're coming up with the most random names now. I don't know anymore. And then, they showed off, more footage. There's the Battle Royale feature where you can have 4 players battle like free-for-all, which looked pretty interesting. So for me personally, as a Pokemon fan, I'm really excited about the new games, and I'm kind of back in the Pokemon zone a little bit lately. I've kind of just downloading all the new Pokemon they've been giving away and everything, and just kind of excited about it again. But I felt like their showing at E3 was kind of okay. Like, there wasn't anything super special. I mean, we got to see some nice, the way that it looks visually, the new overhaul, which was cool. But there wasn't any like big real announcements, I don't think, that came with the game. But I don't know. Are you guys excited about the new Pokemon games?
I think I feel the same way as you, Hassan. Like, I'm probably going to end up getting it. I feel like I repeat myself every time we talk about these games, but like I just wish I had more time to play them because I know it's going to be great. But sneaking in, a lot of time into a Pokemon game is just time I don't have as much anymore. But it looks fantastic. I think it's what I was hoping that the last generation was, because this is like fully 3D now. So I think it looked great, and I'm sure it's going to be a lot of fun. I think the 4-player battle royale does look kind of cool. To add something new into it as well, instead of just the visuals and new Pokemon and new region and everything, they'll have a new mode. But yeah, that I didn't see anything that was like just mind blowing today. But it's going to be a solid game. So.
Yeah, Greg, what about you?
Well, I have to be honest, I kind of turned it off midstream. I'm not the largest of Pokemon fans. It's still on my homework list. I'll get the late grade on the assignment, I'm sure, from Hawk.
Barry, what about you?
I mean, I'm gonna get it. My wife likes Pokemon. I like Pokemon, so it's nice because we get both versions and we each play the other versions. We can trade with each other. But like Steve, it's time. I'll probably get it at launch. And do exactly what I did with Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire. Start the game, get to the point that I can receive the bonus Pokemon, and then not touch it for months later when I have the time, but still log in to get the free Pokemon every time they distribute it, just so I don't miss out. That's probably what I'll do. I think with their presentation, like Greg, you turned it off, and I know I saw a lot of people, really upset about their presentation. And I think the problem with their presentation was they probably scheduled it before they knew they weren't going to do a digital event. So that was when the Game Freak people could be there. So since they didn't have a digital event, they had to do it at the start when they were there, or they wouldn't be able to do it at all. And following a digital event, people wouldn't care. But here's new Zelda, now an hour of Pokemon. That's probably why they killed their hype, because they scheduled it before they knew they weren't doing a digital event.
Right. Yeah, it was just odd timing, I think. I think the game, looks good, and I think Pokemon fans, from what I've seen, everybody seemed to like the new changes and visually the updates with it all. I think it looks really cool, and I'm excited about that. It just the presentation of it wasn't the best, I don't think. But they look like they're going to be some really fun games. So definitely excited about that for sure. The Richard Romero saying, I feel like we already got a ton of Pokemon news prior to E3, so nothing really groundbreaking was announced. Yeah, I also felt it was a little odd that like the first little video they showed was kind of like, oh, and they have a new video to present to us, and it was basically like 2 or 3 trailers just combined, the exact same footage. It's like, oh, okay, that's like, give us some more. I don't know. It was a little odd.
It was a good break for me to go get some lunch because I was hungry. So it was like right around noontime. I was like, I hadn't eaten lunch yet. I was like, oh, good, I've seen this already. I'm gonna grab some food.
Right. Yeah, it was a good way for me to shut off the stream at work when my boss was taking his lunch break. So that worked out in my favor. But yeah. So we'll see. I'm sure we'll get lots more announcements over the next few weeks and months. As the game comes closer to release, but definitely should be interesting. So November 18th, those games release. So there's that, and then that basically brings us to the main topic, the Legend of Zelda: Breath of the Wild. So that is the official title of the game, coming to Wii U and NX simultaneously in 2017.
March.
Right.
Well, they updated it just to say 2017. It doesn't say March 2017 anymore.
I was gonna say I did notice that actually. Like the press release and stuff just says 2017, which makes me wonder. I don't know, Nintendo.
Not again.
Yeah, they took that off a while back, and people were kind of speculating that What does that mean?
Right. That would just. I'm not even going to get there because we can get into a whole conversation about that. Oh, man. But yeah, so that's a new title. Quick little summary of some of the things, then we'll kind of discuss in detail. They showed sort of a more open world environment where you kind of have the freedom to choose how you go about it. You can find various weapons, collect them from defeated enemies. You essentially have to get food to be able to fill up Link's heart meter as well. Link can now climb mountains. He can paraglide to lower areas. There's climate changes, and so you can wear different clothing and stuff to kind of account for the climate changes. And there's also more than 100 shrines of trials throughout the land, and so there's various puzzles to solve in that as well. So at first glance, like, what are your impressions of the new Zelda? The title, the graphics, just everything about it. What are your thoughts on the title in general?
Maybe I hope I'm not just jumping on this because they've kind of seemed to have been drilling this in my head all day long too, but it really does feel like a breath of fresh air, the Zelda franchise, and I don't mean that just because the title is Breath of Winds, but I think I like the title actually. I think it's cool. I think it's a different kind of title than we've had before. From a Zelda game, so that's pretty cool, and I think it does kind of, describe a little bit about the game, about how, it's a little more free flowing, I guess, and I know that. So I know I said, like, it's going to take me forever to go through, like, a Pokemon game, and I don't have the time to play through that, but I will make time for the Zelda game, even though it seems like it's, like, gigantic compared to other Zelda games, because it's Zelda, and I'll make time for that. But it definitely does seem like they've taken a lot of more of RPG elements this time around. I think they've kind of taken hints from Xenoblade and from Monster Hunter. And games like that where you're gonna have to think about how you go about traversing the land, because you might run into sort of enemy camps, and about being able to get different resources and put some stuff together, and being able to pick up weapons from your enemies and use them, and needing to cook, and the stamina bar and all those different things. It's definitely more of an RPG feel than I think previous Zelda games have had, and I think it will bring a really good breath of fresh air to the franchise as a whole, and that it really does seem like this is truly, I don't know, as open as a world as we've gotten before, because you could pretty much go wherever you can get to. Obviously you can level up and get more stamina and get more health and everything that's going to allow you to reach further places as you go, but it's pretty open, which is pretty exciting and kind of dangerous at the same time, because I think I'm the type of person and the type of player that can get sidetracked really, really easily, and that's probably going to happen a lot. I'm probably going to be on my way to go save Zelda, defeat Ganon, and then I'd be like, oh, look, a pretty thing over there, let's go check that out, and next thing I know, 3 hours later, I'm like, oh, right, Zelda and Ganon, yeah, just got to do that. So, but that's a sign of a good game, though, I think. So yeah, initial impressions, I'm ready for it. Just wish I didn't have to wait a whole year or more.
Right. What about you, Greg?
Well, I do have to say, as soon as I first heard the title, I was almost kind of somewhat disappointed. But then after they kind of explained it, then I'm like, yeah, that actually makes a lot of sense. And you know what? That actually is a really cool title. So it was kind of like, when they announced the Wii, it was like, well, what kind of name is that? That's kind of garbage. And then it's like, oh yeah, okay, I see what they're doing here, and now I understand. So I had one of those kind of moments when they first revealed the name of it. I don't know if anyone else did, but I don't know. In terms of all the new stuff, I absolutely love it. I'm also kind of worried, like Steve, about the time element of it, because my time has been kind of shortened to play games, especially on the Wii U. So, and I usually tend to be a completionist, so I'm gonna try and track down all 100-some trials and unlock all the different ruins and try to collect everything that you can. So it's gonna be very dangerous for me to try to go through that kind of effort for this one. But I am really excited about all the open world aspects that Steve was kind of touching on. How, like, you can just climb up a mountain and just be able to enjoy the scenery. It seems like it's going to be a really grand adventure, and I'm really excited to see it return to the very first game on the original Nintendo, where you just get dropped into the world, go explore, go find everything that you need, defeat the bad guys, rescue the princess, game's over.
Okay. What about you, Barry?
I lost my breath when I saw that trailer. Like, it was just so beautiful and was everything I could have hoped for. And after waiting the hour through Pokemon, and they finally started showing stuff, the smile just got bigger and bigger and bigger as they were just showing stuff. And all I could do was see myself doing those things, playing that, and just getting lost. Literally, like Steve said, I'm the same type of person. I won't like to leave an area until I've completed everything, which even includes like side quests and RPGs. And it's like, oh, go to here. It's really urgent. Oh wait, no, there's 15 NPCs that need stuff. Hold on, I'm gonna spend the next 5 hours, completing all these quests before I move on. That's just the kind of gamer I am. So I can totally see myself just getting lost. And I can already see it now, starting off and just picking every apple and picking up every stick, and by hour 15 just running by all that shit and saying, fuck it, I'm not picking it up. I don't have time for it, there's too much. There's too many things to pick up. But like Greg, I'm a completionist. And when it comes to Zelda, I'm going to do everything I can to do 100%. Even, I don't know if there's heart pieces. I know, they only showed 3 hearts, and they showed some food can extend it with temporary hearts, which was kind of neat. I'm assuming there's going to be some way to increase your hearts somehow, because I don't think you're going to go through the game with 3 hearts. But everything about it is just what I'd hoped for. It very much reminds me of an MMO RPG offline, with more action-oriented battles, and I love games like that. From the cooking elements, which was really unique. I don't know if you guys saw the cooking segments, because that was really cool. You just hold different ingredients and put them in a pot, and it cooks up something for you. Like, just interesting idea of having you eat food for cold resistance so you can climb the cold mountains. And, I'm not a big fan of weapons breaking. I swear to God, if you get the Master Sword and then it breaks on you, like, I'm going to cry so hard. But, everything else, like, it's just immersive. That's the word I'm looking for. It's just so immersive. And I do agree with some people where they did show a lot. It was definitely overkill. There were times where I just stopped watching and I was just like listening to them talk, and I was doing other things because it was just so much that they were showing, and I didn't want to be spoiled completely for all the different trials and puzzles and stuff. But some of the stuff they were showing was more like Matrix-y, where it was like, stopping time with stasis, and like literally stopping puzzles, and like that's weird. Like, they haven't done things like that in Zelda, not to that degree, where it was like literally like, I don't know if you saw it, but it was like almost like Half-Life. Like, you could just point the camera and like the magnet, it was like literally just picking things up and like throwing them around, and very, very much like gravity guns and stuff. So I'm interested in playing, in this sandboxy world.
Yeah, definitely. I want to mention in the chat, Richard Romero says, like the title, like the art style, like the open world aspect, can't wait to see the NX version, even though the Wii U version already looks great graphically. Mike says Skyward Sword was the Wii swan song, so I'm expecting Breath of the Wild to be a Wii U swan song. Nothing will look as good as that Zelda game. Mike also mentions something I was going to talk about. He says Zelda Informer has an article about it saying that apparently the E3 demo is 2% of the final size of the map.
It's not even 2%. They kept saying that over and over in Treehouse, that it's less than 2% all day long. So like, even though they showed a lot, yeah, less than 2% of the game, and they really kept, like, in my opinion, like, they kept showing the same stuff over and over again. Like, they really like started branching out like near the end.
Right. Yeah, I was gonna say, I don't think they showed. I was actually expecting them to show a little bit more, per se. Like, time-wise, they showed a lot, but it seemed like it could have been condensed down a lot, probably, from what they were showing. But I'm glad that they didn't show too much more, though, because I think we got the idea with what they showed, and it was pretty cool. But now, like, my mind is kind of turning with, like, thinking of, like, what else, could happen. Like, thinking of, like, the bosses and like what other kinds of crazy, like, tech gear that you'll encounter in the game, because they kind of tease certain pieces of that. It seems really exciting, and I love the art style too. I thought the game looked great graphically. So if this is how it looks on Wii U, I can't imagine the NX version. So should be really interesting. And I thought one thing, I don't know if you guys have seen the Japanese logo for the game. It's the font of it is kind of different, and the way it says, like, Legend of Zelda and all that's kind of different. But it reminds me a lot of like a Miyazaki film or something, like one of those, like, logos or something. And just the art style, like, everything, and the environment, the music, like, it's more like welcoming and, like, peaceful in a way. It's kind of interesting. I kind of like it. It's cool.
Yeah. I was, like, initially, I was kind of, like, what was it, like a year or two ago when we first heard that it was coming out. I was kind of disappointed that they decided to go with, like, that more cartoony kind of look to it. But it's definitely grown on me over the time, and I think it was a similar approach to when they first, when they did, like, Wind Waker, and when we saw Toon Link that way, I was like, really? Why would they do that? And then over time, I was like, okay, it's kind of cool, actually. I think that's the same way with this, and I really like hearing the thoughts behind. That was really cool. It was like hearing the thoughts behind why they chose that kind of art style, and the different kind of, like, painting and stuff that it kind of represented, and how, like, and there's really thoughts behind, how not only did they choose the visual arts, but how the sounds and the music and everything just goes together. And I thought the orchestration was awesome, just to hear the classic Zelda sounds, but with just new, like, orchestra behind it was really cool. But then how it just melded, like they talked about, right with the environmental sounds, and how sometimes it just kind of flowed right together, and it really did create this, like, peaceful, I mean, for the most part, until you're in battle or something like that, but a peaceful environment that it can just welcomed you right in. I kind of, like, in a real way, I was like, I want to live there. That'd be nice. But yeah, I thought just, art style in general, music, visuals is awesome.
I really like, and I really hope that they do more things like this. I don't know if you all saw the very beginning of the stream, but they had a nice troll moment for all the hardcore Zelda fans with the sword on the rock right outside of the Temple of Time. And, like, everyone in the chat's like, get the sword, and he pulls it out, and it's like, oh, no, it's a bronze sword, totally trolled. It's like, oh, yeah, I'm not going to put the Master Sword right there, or whatever it was. But it was like, like, I hope they do that. I hope they take Zelda conventions and just troll with it. But one thing none of us mentioned yet, which has shocked me, and I forgot about it, but voice acting. First time.
Yeah, I guess. Well, from the bits that I see, I didn't get to see the whole live stream, but we didn't get to hear too much of it yet. But I know they said there is more of it. But I feel like what we heard kind of, it felt natural. Like, nothing about it seemed odd to me. I mean, it seemed like it fit in quite well. So I'm definitely curious to hear, more, and see, like, is it, like, voice acting? I know, so we had, like, a narrator doing voice acting, but, like, are we going to hear other characters actually speak? I know they said Link is not going to speak, which I'm glad about. I think it's just, I don't know, after all these years, I just feel like it would just be odd, aside from the cartoon and all that, but I don't know.
Yeah. Honestly, it did not stand out to me. It stood out to me like when I first heard it. I was like, oh, that's different. But it slid into being natural like so quick that I thought it was new and everything for like 5 seconds, and then all of a sudden I was like, oh, that's cool. They got and I think the little bit. I mean, it's always been a little bit of. I mean, I guess they've worked a little bit of more voice acting into each of them because, while for the most part it's just text dialogues and stuff like that, there's sometimes they'd say like hey or Link or different things like that you could actually make out audible. Like, oh, okay, they're saying words that I understand. Yeah, I guess this is the first time they've had actual dialogue, but it seems like it's mostly the narrator kind of. Which I don't know who that is because they say you don't have a helper this time. So I'm like, who was talking in the beginning then? Who was telling him to wake up? Like, was it some machine thing, or like, what's the whole story behind it? So I think that was cool. Like, they didn't really dive into the story at all. Like, there's a lot of speculation, like where this falls in the whole timeline and how it all comes together because they've kind of just left it all out. They're just like, here's how the game basically operates. We're not going to tell you anything else.
I like that.
I was gonna add. I thought I saw like a report saying like someone reported that word Ganon was like in text, like in the thing. So it obviously has to refer to after Ganondorf's transformation. So it would put it into one of the 3 timelines.
Yeah, Ganon was mentioned.
Yeah, Ganon's definitely in the game. It showed up at least one time, and I saw when they completed a dungeon or a shrine. Forgot. Called shrines this time, yeah, they said something like if you're on a quest to defeat Ganon, something.
Yeah, I'm really glad that they didn't get in the story. I feel like they did a good job of showing us enough as far as like this is what the game looks like, this is how it operates. The story will be saved for the game, or at least for 1 or 2 other trailers before the game comes out to kind of give us a little bit more info on some stuff. But I mean, I think we got a good idea of what to expect, I think, with this game so far. So I think from that aspect of it, it was. It was good.
You know how with all previous Zelda games, it seems people always look for a higher challenge, even outside of hero mode, and people always try to do like 3-heart speedruns and all that stuff. Well, this is the first time that you're gonna see people do 3-heart naked speedruns, and I'm probably within a week of it coming out, they're gonna see this.
And someone replied to me on Twitter when I was live tweeting today. They're like, and that's probably why they don't have a female Link.
Probably.
Right. Yeah, that was another thing that there was that rumor, so I guess that didn't come true.
They said some stupid reason though.
Earlier, I know Barry was mentioning about like the cooking thing. I don't know if you guys saw the segment where you can actually cook it in the pot, or you can just cook it right over the fire directly. And then if you did it over the fire, it was only like a half-heart bonus, and then if you actually had the pot, it gave you like the full 2-heart bonus. But
I'm really hoping you can put it on a stick and like hold it over the fire. That'd be awesome. Like,
I think you just drop it on the fire. But that would be cool if you could put it on the stick.
That's what I'm saying. Like, rotate it back there. S'mores in Zelda.
Did you see the thing about building a campfire anywhere? I thought that was really neat, too.
Yeah. That was part of that segment, cool. I think.
Yeah.
Also, the whole temperature thing sounds really interesting, too. You can just change your clothes on the fly and, like, be more comfortable when you're higher up on the mountains and everything. You have a timer before you die. It's like Majora's Mask countdown. Like, you're gonna die in 2 minutes. Put on warmer clothes or eat a steak or something.
I know. If only it was real like that. Like, if I was really cold and I could just like eat some spicy food and my body temperature would go up enough to keep me warm.
Be their fortune tellers, and this is the future, and this is what will really happen.
So what are your thoughts about who's the old man?
Oh man. Maybe a descendant of Raru. That's my guess, or a descendant of the old man from the original Zelda, or a precursor to him.
I'm not sure.
I would say it's the old guy at the end of Zelda 2. It'll be the game that follows Zelda 2.
Could be. Well, Ganon died at the end of Zelda 2.
Or those like that old guy that gave you the Triforce or whatever, and at the very end of Zelda 2.
Yeah, I don't know.
Ganon died. Like, he's dead in Zelda 2, like, for good, unless they use Link's blood to bring him back. He won't come back there. It's like, it's a finite point if they're going to use Ganon, so it can't be.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see where it all kind of fits in with the timeline and all that stuff. I'm only kind of, as the years have gone by, I've gotten more and more into Zelda, so I'm not as like versed in the whole universe with everything here, but like I'm excited to kind of get more into it now, and I think it seems pretty cool with all the different options that they have for how you can play the game, and seems like you can kind of have your own play style with it too, which is definitely neat. So what's your play style going to be, everyone? Are you guys going to all like run and jump and be reckless about it, or stealth, or a mix?
You know, you're probably I usually will start out pretty careful with everything, and then as I go, I get more reckless, usually. Like, because I'm like, okay, I'm going to do this perfect. I'm going to collect everything as I go. At some point along the way, like, I like the idea of being a completionist, and I get sidetracked a lot in the very beginning. But there comes a certain point in almost every game like that where I get to that point, and I'm just like, all right, screw it. I'm just going to, like, get done with this. Like, going all the way out and, like, okay, I got to beat the thing. So, because if I, like, yeah. So that's probably what's going to happen. I'm going to start out kind of nice and easy, and then at some point, like 10 hours, 12, 15 hours into it, I'm like, okay, I'm just going to go for it.
Just like the way I play other adventure games, I just go in and hack and slash. I'm not one for stealth, so I'll just go, hey guys, I'm here, come get me. Boom, you're dead. Boom, you're dead.
Yeah, I'm gonna do pretty much what Steve said. It's very, very reminiscent of what I will do, except I won't be at 15 hours. It'll be more like 45 to 50 by that point when I finally say, okay, I got to end it now. It's either that, or after a few hours of running around, I'll just say screw it and put in the cheat code and have a tank come down and just start blowing shit up. Oh wait, wrong game. Sorry.
Okay. And what about the all the runes and all the so they had the thing that stops time. They had like all these other new little mechanics. Like I only got to see like parts of the live stream, kind of like skip through certain pieces of it. So, but what I saw seemed really interesting, and it kind of makes me curious as to like what else they're going to include as well. What did you guys think about the new mechanics?
I liked them.
Really,
go ahead.
I was just to say I was really intrigued because the one thing that I really liked was like the magnet one. You can like pull the chests out of the water, so you didn't have to like put on the iron boots and go down and open them. You're like, hey, treasure chest, you come to me, and you pull it right out of the water.
Yeah, I think overall I liked it. I think it's cool. Because I don't know if you remember, was it IGN or Game Trailers, whoever did it like years ago, they did the whole like, okay, next Zelda game, they're going into, it was like their April Fool's joke. And they're like, it's going into the modern age, and like they had all this technology and everything, and it was really well made. And I think in my mind, because that was created, I thought, if Zelda ever does go into more of the technological age, like that's where it was going. But they've introduced technology, but not like overdone it. I think it's definitely kind of at the edge. Like, it's definitely powerful technology, of course, because he's able to like move things around, but it's not like taking over the world, and it still seems like Hyrule. So it's kind of like this technology meets magic, I guess, in a way, which is cool because they haven't, like, some games have dealt more with magic than others, and I always thought it'd be kind of cool to bring it back in a cool way, and it seems like that's how they've done it with tech. And I'm interested to see like how they open up other things, because like, you know, they were collecting different rubies and topaz, or all these opal and all that stuff too, and so like, how is that going to factor into other, you know, pieces of technology, or the things you're able to build in order to make different pieces of tech, or different pieces of weapons, or whatever as you go through. I think there's so much more than what they showed. So I'm interested to see, and, you know, what is all involved in that, because I think what we saw is really cool. But there's bound to be so much more.
Yeah, I think what they did was smart, because it's still fantasy, very much so, and the technology is not overdone. And it seems to be ancient tech, which we've seen very similar style in Skyward Sword with like the ship, where, you know, the whole ruins area where it was going back and forth in the future, it was very similar tech. And it appears to be Sheikah tech, and we don't really know much about the Sheikahs, you know, because they're all dead by the time we were always playing the games, and they still appear to be dead. So I'm wondering, you know, if this is actually, you know, their civilization, and they had this technology before they got killed or died off, and technology was lost until, you know, we slowly build up to like steam engines by the time it gets to the spirit tracks, and it slowly has to refine itself. But yeah, I mean, I think it's a very smart way they did it. I'm happy with what they did, and as long, you know, I think people were scared of technology with like, oh, cars and helicopters and guns and like things that don't fit, but mythical items or mythical tablets or even magnets, like it fits in the universe. It doesn't feel out of place, and as long as it's used smartly and not like just a MacGuffin, then it's good. And I liked one thing. It was actually the segment where Greg mentioned about pulling the chest out of the water, where they mentioned specifically that, hey, these items have uses outside of dungeons. They're not just dungeon specific and boom, go ahead and use it for the boss and then never use it again. They actually have uses in the overworld, and I think that's great, because I think one of the best items ever that got the poor treatment was the spinner in Twilight Princess. As awesome as that was, it had very little uses outside of the actual dungeon it was found in.
Right. Yeah, definitely seems really interesting with what they're doing with the items, and how they have, you know, various uses, and you can kind of really choose which item to use and when, and there's not really any order of it. It's not you get this item and then you go to this dungeon and then you have to get this item to use for this dungeon. It's, you kind of have the free control over some of that, which is definitely an interesting change. I like that as well. Another thing I just thought about, this is kind of off topic a little bit. One thing that I thought was really cool is how they were kind of harkening back to the original NES game and some of the old artwork and stuff that we've had from before. Like, there's that artwork of Link kind of out on the cliff and everything, and then, you know, you can kind of see how that looks with Breath of the Wild, and it just looked really cool. And there was also in the when they announced the title of the game, they had like that image that I've seen before. I don't know what game it's from or what, but there's the image of the Master Sword, I guess it is, in like this forest or something. And it was there, and then it turned into the title, and it was kind of like, I've seen that image before as artwork from, I guess, a previous Zelda game or something. And then it's cool to see it like in video game form now, like this with Breath of the Wild. I thought that was really interesting how they kind of titled that together.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Although there was one change I don't know if I'll be happy with, and that was like the inventory management with the you can only hold so many weapons at a time or something like that. I'm never really fans of when you have to like discard stuff. It's like, well, what do I get rid of? Do I get rid of my +3 sword or my +2 sword? And it's like, well, the +2 sword does extra damage against this or something, or some sort of thing like that. So I don't know. I'll have to see.
Yeah, I hope they increase.
Are known to have the infinite size pouch. So
it's gonna be really annoying if like you pick up too many apples and then it's like you have to cook these because I need the inventory space. So, all right, hold on, I'm gonna need the next 20 minutes just cooking things for inventory space. Like that just drags the game's pace down.
Right. There was a lot. Like I feel like I'm gonna get. It's just gonna eventually start to annoy me to be picking up everything because it was like every 5, like not every 5, every like 2 seconds. Like you're picking up an item. Like it's just. Every enemy you kill, multiple stuff fall. Like I feel like I'm gonna get annoyed of just picking this up, picking that up. Like eventually, I'm just gonna be like, you know what? Screw it. I'll just let everything stay on the ground. I don't care. Like it just seemed like it was gonna be a lot.
Well, there was a segment with where they were fighting Staphos, and the one guy was telling the player like, hey, pick up the arm and beat the Staphos to death with the arm, and her weapons were full, and she had to toss a weapon, and then she went to pick up the Staphos arm, and she picked up her weapon that she just tossed again, and like it was very cumbersome, that part, and I was like, that could just be alleviated by giving us more inventory. There are certain games, older games, where it's like, oh, PS2 limitations or GameCube limitations, and memory was an issue, but you can't tell me memory is an issue that you can't hold more than like 8 weapons. Like, you got to be able to do that. It has to be powerful enough to hold that.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, it made it seem like only the weapons were limited. I don't know if it applies to the food and like other items that you can get, but I don't know. Maybe I wasn't paying enough attention for that part, but it made it seem like it was mostly just like the weapons.
I don't know. Well, I guess we'll have to see. If anyone out there has played the demo and can let us know, in comments or on the site.
Right. Right. FYI, so Steve said he lost power for a bit, which meant internet went down too. Be back soon is what he just sent me a message. So he'll be back in a bit. But to kind of start to, I guess, wrap things up while we wait. So Nintendo really, their E3 showing, we already kind of discussed our thoughts on the lack of this and, the poor presentation of that, and right, but their big title was this new Zelda game they're showing for Wii U, the one playable game they have. They're really kind of putting everything on this one game. So this one game